Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to our session, Scale Up Your Digital Workforce with Automation 360. Automation, leveraging artificial intelligence and other technologies, has opened up a new plethora of possibilities for enterprises. Globally, institutions of all sizes are embracing automation at a rapid pace to drive value. Digital assistants and chatbots have become commonplace today, and with good reason. Using automation, businesses can accelerate their road to achieve efficiency and profitability. It not only enhances and augments human work by combining RPA, AI, and analytics to automate business functions from end to end, but also provides security assurances for any future disruption. With the use of such emerging technologies, repetitive tasks can be accomplished faster, while decreasing operational costs, increasing agility, and eliminating the possibility of errors. Automation also helps in providing mechanism to support business and boost its growth by reducing turnaround time and increasing efficiency. Front-running businesses have successfully transformed their business operations and processes, leveraging automation. For the rest, the million-dollar question is how you automate. Scaling your automation journey includes scaling your people, processes, and technologies in the right mix to maximize the benefits. In this session, we will talk about how we can scale up the digital workforce in order to create a better process flow for an organization. To give us a comprehensive overview and enticing introduction to Automation 360, we have with us Sumit Pathak, Digital Workforce Evangelist, IMEA, Automation Anywhere. Over to you, Sumit.
Thank you, Rageshwari. I'm just gonna share my screen. Let me know once it's visible. This is good. Okay.
Yes, sir, this is good.
Thank you, Virat. So, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all are safe and your loved ones are safe as well. Tough time for us here in India. So let's keep ourselves in. I'm in Bangalore, so Karnataka is in lockdown for next 2 weeks. But we just gotta stay home and do the right thing. In today's session, we're going to briefly introduce what is digital workforce for a truly digital enterprise. A quick background, I've been with Automation Anywhere now for almost 2 years now. Prior to joining Automation Anywhere, I was one of the customers of A, where I had an opportunity to basically deploy digital worker and lead the automation initiative in global banks, so predominantly in the banking space. And then took a leap of faith and moved to this side of the table to basically see how other industries and how the products are built, which basically truly transforms the organization. So in this presentation, in next 10 to 12 minutes, I will talk about what digital workers are and also may share some experience I had when I was a practitioner myself. So one of the things which we are very specific about is in terms of sort of building the bots. It's about solving the problem. And one of the problems which we have seen is that there is a lot of silos. There are a lot of different applications which are disconnected. Now, there are two levels of silos which I've seen. One is at the application layer, where you have so many different applications within each part of the organization, and then the silos within the organization. So you have front office, back office, then you got middle office. Within front office, you will have some application of its own, back office, same thing, and then the other productivity tools, right? So while you may end up automating one part of the office, but as you know, a particular, the value chain actually within for a particular process cuts across, right? So how do you basically provide that end-to-end value proposition when it comes to bringing the technology, bringing the applications, and bringing different types of offices together, like as I said, front office, back office, or be the middle office or all employees together. And that's what basically led to the genesis of Automation Anywhere Enterprise Solution. And now it has evolved more towards Automation A360 to provide that, the entire 360-degree view to bring forth the entire value chain for automation. As I said, what I've seen is while your organization is deploying bots and automating one part of the process, somewhere down the line, the process is still manual. So the customer is unable to get the full benefit of it. The organizations are unable to reap full benefit of it. And hence, it's very important to see that, okay, right from the initiation to the fulfillment, what are the various touch points? How do this particular process cuts across the various business? And if we automate this, what is the value which I can bring to the end customer, to the internal stakeholders? One of the things which I learned as part of the automation journey was it's not all about building bots, right? It is about keeping this value at the center of designing your automation program or building bots for that matter, right? So if you think about how I can solve a business problem for my customers, for my internal stakeholders, and in doing so, work backwards to understand how I can apply automation or apply RPA as a technology, I think that's when we are on a path to success, because we are actually bringing more value to the technology which we are basically implementing, and not the other way. So it's not about building number of bots. It's actually providing the value, and as a result, the bots are getting deployed. So what we've also seen is that many of our customers, they have now this human bot collaboration. We call it HBC, where you have, think about a scenario, right? You have five people working in a team. Now you've got five people plus two digital workers, which is your bots. They're working together. Now these digital workers could be sitting on cloud. It could be or sharing the desktop with you. So it enables the human workforce in the end to create the capacity. Think of a scenario or a phone call. The customer agent is having a conversation with the customer, and the digital assistant on the laptop or on the machine is basically able to bring all the right information which is needed for this particular agent to have a qualified conversation with the customer, or to basically resolve the call itself, reduce the average handling time, and more so create the opportunity for upsell and cross sell, maybe, right? So how do you basically create that human bot collaboration? You bring human workforce and digital workers together, is what automation is all about, and what automation anywhere basically aspire to do. So how do we get there, and what it entails, right? Let me take you through that. Now, what you see, it's a bit of a busy slide, but I'll break it down for you, right? The four boxes which you see at the center, right? First of all, this is the entire tech stack. This is our entire platform from Automation 360 perspective. How do you read this slide? This at the center is our building blocks, which are the colorful boxes which you see, which basically enables any organization, right from identifying the opportunities to automating it using RPA and cognitive bot, and then measuring and monitoring. So from blue box onwards, right? So discovery bot enables the organization to identify right processes using AI technology. It basically compares the steps of three different SMEs, combines it, gives the happy path, and also code to an extent so that the developers can come and fast track their development process. IQBot is a cognitive module which deals with dark data, structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data. And usually what I have learned in my practice is that this basically tackles the outside in automation, which means that you got this invoices, for example, which is coming in, you have to scan it, and then how you can basically extract the data, make the data more executable, and then you can either, once it's available, you can basically take various different steps. So it's about identifying what data need to be extracted, to learn it, to retain it, to reapply it when you see similar sets of information coming through, right? So, and it comes with its own OCR engine, or it's compatible with various different OCRs which are available, industry grade available in the market, like Abby, Modi's of the world. Then you move to the green box, which is Workspace. That is the RPA technology I'm talking about. In my view, I call it a logical bot. You basically suggest that bot to do certain activities or mimic the human behavior, and then bot will do that, right? So it's very simple. Any activity which is very mundane and got very high volumes, it can be basically tackled with help of RPA bot or RPA digital worker. It could be executed in two different forms. Unattended, which is sitting in the cloud, it can be executed with help of an event, or it could be a trigger based. So if a condition is met, or if a new email comes through, The RPA bot will basically execute. We identify the steps required and will execute the process. So that when human worker will come to office, that part of the process is taken care of. And that's where the true sense of human bot collaboration comes into picture, right? For example, identifying the candidates to automate. You put the search criteria, the bot will run overnight, will go on to the various different job sites and will bring up the details by giving the order by the match on the search criteria which were there. So when the recruitment team comes in the morning, they have some information available on their desktop rather than going and searching for these candidates. Just one of the examples. And then you got bot insights. See, bot insights basically gives the capability to measure and monitor the performance of digital worker. As I said, it's human bot collaboration. You need to find a way to measure and monitor the performance of the digital worker at the operational level as well as at the business insights level, right? So that's basically is the core of automation 360 platform. If you go on the right, there are, of course, we work very closely with various different technologies available, so it integrates pretty well. We also have bot store. Bot store is an amazing concept. There's internal bot store specifically for your organization, or there's a global bot store available where you can download pre-configured bots, pre-coded bots, which then you can reconfigure a bit to basically suit within your environment, and you can move on, and you can contribute to that bot store as well. If you go on top of the box, you see RE and desktop apps. And so I will cover RE a bit in the next slide, but it's an interesting concept which we basically have introduced, and you'll be able to resonate it because now as we all are in this second search, we've gotten used to of certain ways of working, be it for your personal requirements or for your professional requirement. But one of the biggest things which we have seen is the pure cloud. The adoption of cloud from automation perspective. I remember one of the last session I attended, physical session, was in Amritsar in Feb, where I met with a lot of CIOs. And one of the questions the CIO asked, and this is, I'm talking about 19 February, that how can I fast track the automation journey where I do not have to go and procure the servers to basically deploy the technology. And that's where we said, that's the great idea of having cloud in the picture, because it does various things. It basically, you can have a cloud as a service as a model, which means you don't have to go for your capital expenditure. You can run your automation program on the OpEx itself. It is scalable. It provides redundancy. There is more scalability which is there. So keeping those advantages in mind, it's important that you basically shift from on-prem to cloud. And we have seen, especially now and over the last 14 to 15 months, there is a huge uptake in cloud adoption, knowing that we are going through this unprecedented times to have more of security in terms of the way and build redundancy for that matter, right? And the deployment is of different types. There's one full pure cloud where we bring our infrastructure. In many cases, some customers are not comfortable having the entire setup on cloud. So there's a hybrid, which is on-prem and cloud available, where control room, which is part of our toolkit, sits on the cloud, but the data for you and your customers resides in your location, right? So that's what we have seen, and it is, as I said, since over the last 14 to 15 months, it has been hugely popular. So to wrap up quickly, I think what we are saying is that with Automation 360, with a single platform where you do not require various different technologies to provide the entire value chain of automation, it doesn't matter in which part of the organization you are in. It basically fast tracks your processes. It helps to identify, digitize, automate, and optimize. You do not require various different solutions to integrate. It comes in the one full package, as I showed in the previous screen. Cloud native, I spoke about, reduces your TCO, increases the scalability and redundancy feature of it. And as I said, it basically moves towards OpEx with pay-as-you-go model. And then which basically enables in the end in scaling, because you're removing the frictions to start your automation journey. It is the low TCO, and you're able to harness the true sense of technology. Last slide from my side, I spoke about RE. Consider RE to be one of your assistant like Google, Google or Siri for that matter. Uh, RE basically automates your existing processes, which are automated. So it provides you with a very intelligent and smart and friendly GUI, which basically will execute the bots on your behalf, will bring where the processes are. It will show you that what specific steps have been automated, and it will relay that information to you as you are working with on the same machine. Or for example, as I said, you might be on a call with a customer, and RE is working for you to provide the right set of data so that you can have more qualified conversation with your customer. So on that, I will take a pause and happy to have questions down the line. But I hope I was able to give you a 360-degree view of Automation 360-degree platform. So thank you. Back to you, Ragishan. Thank you.
Thanks, Sumit, for such an insightful session and setting the perfect tone for today's fireside chat. Ladies and gentlemen, for our next session, Future Workforce, we have with us today Rahul Sharma, Global Solution Owner, Mondelez International, and Srikant Tanikela, COO, Computer Age Management Services. The session will be moderated by Sheena George, Partner, Ernst& Young Global Limited. Over to you, Sheena.
Thank you so much, and warm welcome to everyone who's joined here. What unprecedented times we are in, and our hearts go out to all those who have, near and dear ones or loved ones sick or who passed away during this pandemic. But also our admiration and tribute to all those business leaders, healthcare workers, and other individuals, the common man who've come together to support and be there for those of our fellow countrymen who are in need of help and trouble during these times. I think history will remember the story of resilience that these examples are, showing us on a day-to-day basis. And to all of us who are healthy and who have joined here on this webinar, once again, a warm welcome. What better way to engage our minds with positivity and enthusiasm than by investing in some good learning? And during these times, we've seen that leaders in almost every sector and region have been managing their organizations for resilience. A recent Harvard article cited that this transformation that this pandemic has brought down has really three phases to it. And the first was the response, when many leaders came together and took bold decisions to adapt and accelerate their transformation journey so that they could weather these rapidly changing conditions, right? The second phase to this transformation was the recovery, which included reflecting, rethinking, and rebooting the business to emerge from this crisis stronger than before. The third part to this is, how do we thrive in this changed landscape? Because these conditions are likely to stay for a while. And how do we embrace the future of work through new insights and capabilities? And I think Sumit gave us a good introduction to some of this when he was talking. And we will be building on this as we speak to our esteemed panelists who have joined us. One thing is clear, and I think we heard a thread of that in the session which Sumit just took, is that for our organizations going forward, we must take a human approach to rethinking and rebuilding work, to prioritize people, and the bots and the technology framework which we are putting in place has to be the backbone of making that happen. With that introduction, we have an interesting panel discussion today, fireside chat, and warm welcome once again to Mr. Srikant and Mr. Rahul. We'll dive into it, immediately. Srikant, I'll first pose my question to you. You obviously come from the financial services industry, insurance industry, which is traditionally dependent on a lot of face-to-face physical interactions for selling, or your business model was essentially dependent on people going out and meeting customers, your sales force doing that. And surely the pandemic has caused you to revisit that. Would you like to walk us through how you traverse that journey of changing the model in which your sales force will take business to customers?
No, sure, Sheena, thanks for that question. Very pertinent. And last year, let's say around this time, or maybe a month before that, we were certainly grappling with some existential questions on how will the business go forward. So let me just give you a flavor of how we managed to tackle that. And I'll talk largely about mutual funds, which is where bulk of our business is centered around, while insurance is certainly a portion of it. Uh, uh, more, there are distributors who reach out to investors and obviously, convince them to invest by looking at their asset allocation and conduct advisory services, based on which the investors would fill in an application form for the mutual fund, which would then be submitted at the front office of our organization or the mutual funds that we support. And then from there, there is a digital journey that the transaction would take. Um, to give you a flavor, let's say in around 2017, we were at about 55% of all transactions coming in physically and 45% through digital means. By the time the pandemic hit us last year, we were at around 75-25. So the industry certainly adopted to the digital platforms that we provided, the mutual funds provided, and the distributors and the PTMs of the world provided. And the number crept up to 75%. But the reality was that the remaining 25%, which is still 10 lakh applications a month, had to be delivered to our front offices through the mechanism that I just mentioned to you. And there was a lot of comfort that the distributors and the investors derived from the fact that, look, if I'm not able to do something online, hey, no problem. Let me just pop into one of the front offices, the 270 branches that CAMS has across the country, and give the application form, or the distributor would do it for me. That comfort was taken out overnight because our front offices had to be closed, the AMC branches had to be closed. So the question was, how do we manage in such a situation? That was the front office problem, the sourcing problem, if you can call it that. The second issue that we had was uh, the entire workforce in financial services is used to working in an office environment for information security purposes. And therefore, the concept of working from home uh, was an unfamiliar thing for 98% of the population, of the employee set. So these were the twin challenges that came our way, and uh, we uh, we obviously dealt with that. We are part of the essential services. So the way we've dealt with that is, one, we quickly created some links that, with very minimal data entry, could be used by distributors to enter transactions on behalf of their investors, and then send those links via SMS and email to the investors for them to make the payments. So that in effect you are mimicking the digital transaction without saying so to the investor. That proved to be very successful with many of the distributors adopting that approach. Naturally, there were some who resisted the idea of digital transactions. The change was too sudden for them to adjust to it. So we created a mechanism whereby they could simply take photo of the transaction, uh, physical application form that they would have filled up, take a photo, and then send it to the mutual fund, wherein some of our employees would sit and enter the data from the application form. We created a workflow and all of that, so that that could be entered into our application, and then from there on, of course, the rest of the processing could be conducted by us. Um, we came up with several innovations, micro innovations, that eventually enabled the transactions to come through without any hitch. I mean, to give you a sense, in the month of April, from 25%, the number of physical transactions fell down to 4% last year. And that 4% was also just a lucky thing because there were some branches that we were able to open. And so that was the front office part. The middle office and the back office, we had to get a significant portion of our workforce working from home. We uh, we just managed to do that. We looked at every process. We had to give them comfort. So HR was tracking them closely to make sure that they are comforted. There are lots of things that can go wrong in work from home. All of us would have heard of enough stories. So I won't repeat them here. But despite that, our teams rose up to the challenge. After an initial hiccup, all of them managed to successfully process from home. Initially, we said sensitive processes will have to be continued from office till we develop an alternative. So we had people staying in hotels across the road and managing the processes and so on, till we were able to get everything to be functional from homes. And kudos to the resilience of human beings and our employees in particular, that all of this was eventually managed completely from home. I'll stop here to see if there are any questions or.
Thank you, Shrikant. Truly a remarkable story of how the industry has weathered the storm and our response mechanism, as well as the ability of our ecosystem, which is our employees and our customers or investors or distributors, as you call them, to align and adopt, because there was really no other way with your front offices and a lot of your other workforce being shut down. And hearing about how technology has been the rock bed that has helped you achieve that, without which I think this would not have been possible. Uh,
Tools like MS Teams would, we wouldn't have been able to do without such tools, because collaboration and coordination complexity would have been enfold without without such tools coming into the picture.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shrikant. I'm going to move over to you, Rahul. And I'm sure, Rahul, you have a similar story of how you had to change and enable your workforce to work from a completely remote manner. Probably some of it was already ready for you, and there were other steps which you had to take anew. But with the remote workforce, how did you tackle the problem of monitoring employee productivity and figuring out which business process is a case for automation, where probably you will not ask employees to do that anymore? How did you go about discovering that?
Yeah. Let me pick up from where Shrikant left, actually, where he was saying uh, that without MS Team it was not possible. Yeah, and similar tools, like, I'm not pointing out MS Teams, but in Mondelez, we were lucky enough that earlier we were using Skype for Business, and just before this pandemic, we shifted, I think, 6 months or 1 year back, we shifted to MS Teams, because in Mondelez we try to upgrade and see that. So what we are trying to do now, and we are moving a step further there, because earlier also our employees were, most of the people, especially in IT and even in business teams, were used to working remotely, because we work in a global setup, and sometimes the meetings are very late, and you have to attend that also sometimes, because this is a big group with different regions. So we were kind of, I will say, ready, but yeah, obviously this is a shift in the way we work, uh, and where we are utilizing now MS Teams is that we are moving towards further more collaboration with, kind of, you can say, making up teams in there, and making up groups which can work on different projects. Yeah, and we can also, maybe there are some functionalities which I want to highlight, that we can assign tasks and we can follow up that task with a lot of commits. Yeah, so that's where the collaboration is at going at next level, and that pushed, the pandemic pushed us to take it to next level. I hope you can hear me fine, right?
We can hear you perfectly fine, Rahul. It's very clear and very audible.
Yes. So, I'll just take out one more thing which we did recently, is no email day. So that was enterprise-wide initiative which we did, where all the employees, everyone across the globe, they are instructed not to send an email. Obviously, it cannot be zero email, because there are some emails which we need to send. But they are, for one day, they are told that don't send an email, and use these collaboration tools. They are encouraged to use collaboration tools in MS Teams, and said that you create some groups, you follow up on MS Teams, or you take your time out to make sure that you get something, you can learn new things, and you can utilize MS Team in a more effective way. So this kind of, till this level we are going in, and we are trying to, you can say, automate that process. Means, I just want to highlight that these things we are using for a long time, and I have seen in other organizations using for a long time, like shared documents, where many people can work at one time, like we share Excel sheet, and they have different level of kind of access to that, and different team members can edit that. This we are doing. And we are also using some collaboration tools where we are posting our, you can say, announcements in the company, which is from Microsoft only. We are posting our announcement, different kind of announcement, so that everybody is aware about that. Like we are posting also some instructions on COVID, like how to keep yourself safe, and anything coming from HR as well. And we also doing some meetings where we are just chit chatting, and it's a kind of, you can say, collaboration, where just to keep the morale high, or maybe even you can say, in my team and in other teams I have seen, there are small groups which are keeping meetings on Friday. I have just after this, I have that meeting also. We are it's just kind of a no topic, but just to see that the impact we have while we were working in office, we can just try to make that same. It cannot be same, but trying to replicate that, and just to share our concerns, or maybe have something, have the discussion, what is going on, what's new, and how we can manage things effectively. So that is done across the groups and within the groups as well.
Thank you, Rahul. I think you shared some great human touch initiatives Mondelez is taking, which are some good best practices to have to improve team morale, team engagement, and also team productivity. You referred to some tools and methods you're using to have a tab on that. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. I'm going to go back to you, Shrikant. Shrikant, we heard Sumit talk about, discovery bot, which, which can analyze which are the processes is a use cases for automation. Or he spoke about IQ bot, which is about combining some AI technologies, machine learning, and natural language processing, etc., to extract and validate information from a document processing process, right? So in your business, I'm sure you're using a lot of document processing you must be doing, because you'll be getting documentation from your customers. Are you using any tools and technology transformation in that area to completely automate that process with zero human intervention, and has it given ROI?
So absolutely. See, given that we are in market sensitive services, um, our ability to process volatility in volumes is paramount, which means that I cannot obviously, mess around with regulatory processes where I can put a block and say that I will not accept a form beyond 10,000 volume in a day. If on a given day it suddenly increases to 20,000, I have no option but to process the 20,000, because otherwise, NAV gets impacted and so on. So given those challenges, we are constantly looking for ways to improve productivity so that operating leverage gets better and better in the organization, while at the same time moving people from routine or repetitive tasks to higher value added activities such as troubleshooting, exception analysis, knowledge intensive processes, etc. So it's a constant endeavor for us. I will take a couple of examples to illustrate this. One of the frequent issues that most companies face is around service queries. You get a set of service requests, and then there are queries. I tried to invest 10,000 rupees. I sent that money 3 days back. I still don't know what happened. I haven't got my units. Or can you get me an account statement? Can you tell me what the balance in my account is so that I can initiate a redemption? These are inevitable. Investors will keep coming at you with those queries. Our endeavor has been to make it as self-service oriented as possible through introduction of chatbots. We have a chatbot running on camsonline.com for the investors, and we also have many AMCs or mutual funds who have now taken up chatbots with our support on their own websites. All the frequently asked questions are codified, curated. Those processes are streamlined so that they become amenable for easy querying by the investors, and therefore self-service becomes paramount. We've had, I would say, mixed success in enabling that. While the tools are available, investors typically find it a lot easier to just drop an email rather than do call a call center rather than use the online chat facilities. I think it's also about awareness, adoption, etc., which we will do. But the direction is clearly, the mandate is to move in that direction. The second component is usage of tools at the back end to make sure that processes are automated, or that and that tools like AI are used extensively. I'll take an example. We have SIP, systematic investment plans. We get them from the customers, and some of the investors choose the option of taking insurance, which is an offer by some mutual funds. So you can select an SIP within insurance. On the form, it's a simple tick in the box. Now the question is, if it's a simple tick, it can easily be missed at the time of data entry. Some operator may miss that tick, and that results in the investor not having he thinks that he has the insurance facility, but in reality, it has not got processed. So the insurance company will not honor the claim if and when that claim comes through. How do you tackle that problem? So one of the things that we've done is we ran a set of X number of forms through an artificial intelligence platform and machine learning platform, and made sure that the tool is able to recognize whether a tick exists or not in that particular spot on the application form. It sounds very simple, but because different AMCs come up with different variants of application forms from time to time, it is not one single standard form, and therefore where the tick is it can be anywhere depending on the predilection of the AMC. But we successfully executed that for the AMCs, and in the process we discovered naturally that there were some instances where, because of data entry operator overlooking it, insurance has not been initiated. We quickly rectified that problem, and now it's run continuously in the organization so that we don't get into those problems. That's a classic example of very practical usage of AI and machine learning for the benefit of a business process. We also have we have a problem that when we pay redemptions, which means that the investor asks for money, I need to upload a file to the bank system. So I have to say that, hey, you know what, take money from the mutual funds account and transfer that money to this particular investor's account. It's obviously a risky process in the sense that what you don't want is for none of the employees at camps to be able to touch that document for obvious reasons. You don't want the employee to put his own account number, and that results in some kind of a fraud or whatever have you. So we used tools that Supit referred to. We used an automation tool, an automation bot, which enabled us to extract the file from our platform, and in a very no-touch manner, be able to upload to the website of the bank, so that end-to-end, there is no one touching that file before it gets uploaded into the banking system. It's an example of how information security needs have been taken care of using automation. And then the third example is of productivity, where again, it's a business-led thing. So when as a distributor, when a distributor wants to empanel with a mutual fund, he has to submit a form. Now that process used to take 3 to 4 weeks, because he would send a set of documents which would be deficient, then you go back to the distributor and so on and so forth. So everyone's frustrated because it takes 4 weeks. We streamlined that entire process, made it online by working with one of the large mutual funds, and that resulted in the process time getting reduced to just 2 minutes. Today, from where it was 0% manual process, it became 95% digital process, 90% digital process. And so one, our employees are free to get into other activities, those who were engaging in all this manual document effort. And two, for the distributor, it's a 2-minute process online. And of course, the remaining 10% is what we need to tackle. That's all. And so long as we are able to continuously move the needle further and further, it is of immense benefit to the industry. I mean, these are ready examples. I can go on and on, but I think I'll just stop here.
Thank you, Shrikant. That was real pertinent response to the question that I asked, and very real life practical examples that was shared, and tying in very effectively with the theme which Sumit was talking about when he began this kickstarted this fireside chat. But I'm going to come to you, Rahul, and I think
Sheena,
Shrikant touched
can
up.
you adjust your volume, please? That mic, please. Yeah,
Is it better now?
yeah.
Sorry. So Rahul, Shrikant gave an interesting headway to coming to what I wanted to ask you, which is he referred to this thing called information security. With digitizing the workforce, remote workforce enablement, and people working from anywhere, working with their own devices, more and more, I think with new onboarding happening, what's happening is organizations not even able to give employees their own laptops, and what's happening is that there's a growing trend where employees are being allowed to use their own personal laptops with some VDI that the organizations are giving, right? So where all this is going is, on the one side, you have a data proliferage, there is increase in data volumes, and on the other side, we are opening up a lot of avenues where we are probably opening ourselves to a cyber threat, data leakage, or non compliance in terms of some kind of data privacy, data regulatory laws which are out there, right? How have you tackled this problem of managing data in a secure and compliant way, Rahul?
Yes. So yeah, this is a real challenge, when it comes of remote working. And again, we also have third-party contractors or vendors who are working for us. So generally, in that setup, they used something like Citrix or some other tool where we can enable them all the security, and they will be able to log into our system through that system only. We have also done because we have also done a lot of work in last 3 years on the data security, and as well, you can say, from malware attacks and other things, where because we have seen that some of the companies were hit earlier, like 3 years or 4 years back, with the malware attack. So we have done a lot of things where we are making sure that this is not getting impacted. And I think from last 1 year as well, we are running very kind of smart trainings. It's just a 5-minute training where employees are made aware about different kind of threats. For example, you receive an email in your email box, right? In my email box, I will receive an email, and it will be kind of an email sent by a Mondelez security team, and they will see that what you do with that. So if there will be a link where if you click that link, it will be there. You'll have a message that it was a phishing email and you have clicked it. You are not supposed to do it. It is just an example, just to train employees how to do that, how to manage these things. We also have some video trainings which will come often, like every month, and they will train you like how to secure Wi-Fi, how to have how don't you share Wi-Fi, what you should do when you are in public Wi-Fi, and you shouldn't leave your laptop unattended. These are the kind where we are training our employees. On other front, we are also making our systems very robust. But in doing so, you may think that we get little inflexible in doing so. But in Mondelez, we are also you can say motivating employees to bring. We also have some networks where we call it BYOD, bring your own device. I'm not saying that that is working in all the countries, but in some locations, some countries, we are allowing employees to use their own device when they are in office setup. It's not like they can, obviously they will use office device when they are outside. But with new pandemic, we also had a lot of challenges, especially through third-party vendors who are working, different IT companies working for us, to make sure that, because everybody is working from their office, not from office, not going to home. Earlier, it was the office network which was enabled for all the access, and they use a lot of our data. They have a lot of information, but now that information is going outside. So there are different ways to tackle that and to track what is being done, and to enable or disable some certain kind of access for different kind of employees, and to track it in a better way. That is, I think, the only solution, because we have to manage a balance between the flexibility and also how we track and how we manage our data, how we secure our data. So these are the things we are doing. There are not many things which are going in background, which are more technical, which I don't want to talk here, but there are a lot of things which security team do, and you don't realize that, but they are at the back end are doing a lot of things, which will come handy when you have certain kind of, you can say, attack or something is going on with other company, and you realize that you are secure.
Thank you so much, Rahul. We only hope that what they're doing keeps our privacy. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Rahul. And Shrikant, I'm going to come to you. And we've spoken about automation, work, and data. I'm going to put humans back at the center and ask you, do you see organizations doing something to elevate the quality of the work output itself? So we spoke about productivity and enhancing the outcome, reducing redundant work. But from a futurist perspective, what next to elevate the quality of the work, bring in more innovation out of your workforce? Are any steps being taken in that regard?
No, absolutely. So, in terms of, see, the challenge always is how do I make sure that um, employees are continuously moving up the knowledge pyramid, which means that I do not ideally want anyone to be part of an assembly line, and if I can call it that, and I would want everyone to be a knowledge worker. The reality is that it will always be a mix of the two. And our endeavor is to see how constantly we can reduce the amount of work at the bottom of the pyramid and increase the work at the top of the pyramid. And while we try to do that, so obviously automation is one of the best ways to achieve that objective. But then the question is, one, ideas have to come from somewhere, because I mean, a large organization cannot hope that a few guys sitting at the top will have the best and the brightest of ideas. So ideas have to emanate from the rest of the organization. How do you incentivize and inculcate the culture where ideas are being shared freely by employees? So we've taken several initiatives. We have run programs where we've run hackathon equivalents inside the organization. We've run, the best idea you win, you will go for a trip to place ABC kind of programs, where employees participated with a level of enthusiasm. Uh, I will say it's a difficult one to achieve. It's not easy. While I can say a lot of things, it's not always that you will have enthusiastic response from employees. We just keep trying various methods to make sure that people effectively peak out of their daily work life, think through what can be done to make meaningful difference to the process, to their own knowledge, to their colleagues' knowledge levels and quality of work, and then come up with a response. It's not easy, but yes, it does happen in the organization, and with a varying level of success.
Thank you so much, Shrikant. Actually, we have a couple of audience questions, and Rahul, I'm going to pose one of the audience questions to you. The question is if we think digitization will continue post-pandemic or will it fade away in time?
So I think now companies have realized that digitization, or I should say digitalization, also they are two different words actually, for that matter. So they are adding value. So earlier I'm saying, and I'm not talking about Mondelez. It is I have seen a field Mondelez take technology digitalization very seriously, but in other companies I have seen that information technologies is taken as a cost center. So and all the IT teams, they say, oh, it's a cost center. They now they have realized that they can change your business, and they can change how the supply chain works. They can change how you work. They can bring a lot of value to you. So I think even you see a lot of IT companies, they allowed their employees to work from home. Earlier it was not the case. So and they are getting good outputs. It's not like that they are getting less outputs there. So I think this will continue. This will continue over the time, and I think the companies who see that their future in there, they will invest more. And everybody has realized, I think they need to learn new things. They need to learn new way of working to keep themselves safe also, and to make sure that they're contributing to the company's growth. So I think it will continue, and it will depend on the company culture also, that till what level they can take it, and it depends on different kind of sectors, till what level they can allow people to either work from home or use digital tools. So it is not one bullet for everybody. It's not a silver bullet. So you have to see that as per your organization, how much far you can take. But I will say you should learn from different industries and bring it in. That's what I do. I learn from different industries, bring it in, and see that what I can apply in my industry, or the job I'm doing. So that is I think the mantra where you can do a lot of learning.
Thank you, Rahul. So definitely the answer I heard there was digitization will continue and there's a lot of opportunity, which goes into the next question which has come here, and that I'm going to ask you, Shrikant. The question here is, how can new tech create opportunities for people, and what are organizations doing to make this shift more easy for common people?
Um, no, absolutely. So new tech creates immense opportunities for a lot of people. Um, I mean, so the oft-repeated concern that automation will reduce jobs, which is really at the heart of a lot of conversations. What we've seen repeatedly is that, and I'm talking about across organizations, not just camps, is that uh, the content of work may be different from what it is today, but work doesn't go away for sure. You might, you may be potentially looking at a set of additional 50 programmers or 100 programmers with new age technologies getting into the organization, and all of us have to look around the environment, like Rahul rightly pointed out, see what are some of the emerging directions that the world is taking, and if automation is the way to go, and if new technology stacks are the way to go, can we equip ourselves in being comfortable with as users of those new technologies, or as creators of applications using those new technologies? I would say both are important. As I can take very real examples of situations where, as we automate our business processes, we see some employees struggling to deal with that change. The new ways of working, new technology, if you don't apply yourself diligently to learn the new ways, very soon we find that very unfortunately they are not able to cope, and we have to end up giving additional training support for them to just cope with the new ways of working. So I would say that most often new technologies will cause a lot of volatility in the short run, but in the medium run, the direction is very clear that you need to upskill yourself to be able to use the technology well. And if you have the um, aptitude, you should become extremely familiar with technology, even to the extent of being able to become part of the creators of innovation using that technology. That's the way we have tried to approach this notion within our organization.
Thank you so much, Shrikant. We are almost up for time, so I'm going to quickly summarize the themes that we heard in the roundtable. So the first thing I think we heard in the initial set of responses our panelists were giving is that there is a sense of us defining the use cases for automation that can unlock real value for your business. And we heard in their responses to how they addressed the pandemic, how they approached it. And the second part to that, or the second dimension to that, is also enabling users according to their requirements. So depending on which persona you're looking at, you see the way it was being addressed was different. Depending on there were different personas being discussed. There was the employee, there was the investor, there was the distributor, there's a supplier. So depending on that, they addressed it differently, and also depending on the industry, because not everything can be automated. The industries are different, so it's not one shoe fits all. But the other more important aspect was there was a human centric approach to unlock the value of your and the potential of your workforce, and I think that was at the core of all the responses we heard. Then we went into how there's a element of validating the compatibility and compliance related aspects, because a remote or a connected workforce introduces the next level of complexity into device management, and so there has to come with it the relevant policies and the right capabilities, both talent, security, and process background, and that's going to be crucial to complying with security requirements and also ensuring operational effectiveness. Then we heard about how monitoring engagement and employee satisfaction, and I think Rahul referred to certain steps Mondelez is taking, because the truth is, left unchecked, whatever technology measures which we can take, and all these investments can become counterproductive, because you may have overall hours worked getting increased, but productivity may sag because due to negatively impacted cognitive and mental performance. And last but not the least, I think in towards the questions which we took up, there is a theme here that's there's a humongous amount of opportunity with automation, with digitization, with new age tech, because this is a trend that's only going to increase, and there is a need for all of us to keep up with the times, reskill ourselves, learn more, be adaptive to the change that's going on, because there's a huge opportunity in this space. Nevertheless, thank you so much, Shrikant and Rahul, for your elaborate responses and very pertinent responses to the questions that was asked. This was a very insightful and useful discussion, and also to all the audience who asked questions. Thank you so much. It's a wrap here. Requesting all of you to be safe and take care of your near and loved ones, and we'll get through this very quickly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay safe.